Saira. Welcome to Shri Sathya Sai Seva Gurukulam online classes. Today we are going to continue with the chapter Nutrition in Animals. This is the third part of this chapter. Let's have a look at the topics that we'll be covering in today's part. Firstly, we'll be recapitulating about a few topics that we have studied previously. Then we'll study about the esophagus or the food pipe. Then we'll learn what happens during the process of vomiting. Then we'll study about the stomach, and in stomach we'll learn what are the various roles of the gastric secretions, and we'll see how was the working of stomach discovered. I'm sure that you all know what path does the food which we take in through our mouth follows inside our body. But still, let's recapitulate that. So once the food is in our buccal cavity, then where is it go next? Where does it go next? It needs to reach the stomach for further digestion. To reach the stomach, it passes through our esophagus. From esophagus, now it enters into our stomach. From stomach, it will go into the small intestine. From small intestine to large intestine. And from large intestine to rectum. And the food is eliminated out through the anus. So this is our digestive tract. From buccal cavity to anus, it is our digestive tract. Now apart from this, we had learnt about few glands that help in the process of digestion. We had studied about the salivary gland, which is present in our buccal cavity. So in the diagram, you can see in our buccal cavity area, in this area we have the salivary gland. Then the next gland is the liver, and the third one is the pancreas. Salivary gland is in the buccal cavity, right? So these are the three glands that help in digestion. So our digestive tract, which is from buccal cavity to the anus, combined with these three glands, these three digestive glands, they together make our digestive system. Let's see these glands in little more detail. So the first one is the salivary gland, which is present in our buccal cavity. And we had learnt in the previous part that it helps in the breakdown of starch in our mouth. Then the second gland is the liver, and the third one is the pancreas. We had studied that in our buccal cavity, teeth are present and tongue is also present. And in our mouth, two types of digestion starts, mechanical and chemical. So in our buccal cavity, with the help of teeth, we chew the food and break it down into smaller pieces. So this is mechanical digestion. With the help of teeth, we are mechanically breaking down the food into smaller pieces. So teeth is responsible for mechanical digestion. Then in our mouth, in our buccal cavity, the saliva helps in the breakdown of starch present in the food. That is chemical digestion. So saliva in our mouth is responsible for chemical digestion. Now let's study about food pipe or the esophagus. So we know that from our mouth, the next place where digestion takes place is the stomach. To reach the stomach, food passes through the esophagus, which is also commonly known as the food pipe. So the esophagus or the food pipe, it is a long, narrow and a muscular tube that connects the buccal cavity to the stomach. You can see in the diagram, esophagus connects our buccal cavity to the stomach. Then the food pipe runs along the neck and the chest region. The swallowed food passes into the food pipe or the esophagus. The food enters the esophagus once we swallow it. Food is pushed down by the movement of the wall of the food pipe. So, the food is pushed down through our esophagus because the wall of esophagus shows a particular type of movement which helps in the movement of food downwards. So, the wall of the esophagus, over here you can see it shows a wave-like movement. Okay, so this wall will move in a wave-like movement which is known as peristalsis. So this wall of esophagus, it moves in waves, and this helps the food to move down. So this wave-like movement of the wall of esophagus helps the food to move down. Actually, this movement takes place throughout our alimentary canal and pushes the food downwards. So throughout our alimentary canal, this type of movement happens so that the food gets pushed down. Why does the food move in opposite direction during vomiting? Right now we studied that the food moves down, the walls move in a certain wave-like manner so that the food moves down. But how come the food moves in opposite direction during vomiting? First of all, let us see, why do we even vomit in the first place? So whenever you eat anything which contains toxic substances, so our body will detect that toxic substances are present in the food, and it won't let you take in those toxic substances because it will harm you. So the food needs to come out of your body. So it comes out through vomiting. So this is about it. Vomiting is our body's protective mechanism to get rid of toxic food that we might have ingested. Now, why does it happen? So once the body has detected that toxic substances have entered, then our brain will send the signals to the muscles of our abdominal wall and the stomach wall. And once the signals are sent, then the muscles of abdominal wall are vigorously contracted. The walls will start contracting vigorously, and once they contract, they squeeze the stomach. That will increase the pressure inside our stomach, and once the pressure is increased in our stomach, the food will come out through our body. So once we take in anything which is not good for our body, which is toxic for our body, our brain will send the signals to the abdominal wall. They will start contracting and our stomach will start squeezing. The pressure in our stomach will keep on increasing, and then that pressure is finally released once the food comes out. So this is our body's protective mechanism. It is to protect us from the toxic substances present in the food. Now let's study about the stomach in a little detail. The stomach is a thick walled bag. Its shape is like a flattened J, and it is the widest part of our alimentary canal. You can see in the diagram it looks like a flattened J-like structure. And another interesting thing is that it is the widest part of our entire alimentary canal. Then it receives the food from the food pipe at one end and it opens into the small intestine at the other end. The inner lining of the stomach secretes. So there are three types of secretions from the inner wall of the stomach. It is the mucus, then the hydrochloric acid, and the digestive juices. Now let's study about the roles of these gastric secretions. So what is the role of mucus? It protects the lining of our stomach. So what mucus does it? It protects the lining of our stomach. But it protects it from what? So as you can see, the second secretion is hydrochloric acid. So it is an acid. Because it is an acid, it can harm the walls of the stomach. So the mucus, it will protect the lining of the stomach from this hydrochloric acid. And now what is the role of this hydrochloric acid? This acid kills many bacteria that enter along with the food and make the medium in the stomach acidic and helps the digestive juices to act. Generally, for the digestive juices to act, we need a slightly acidic medium. But hydrochloric acid's main job is to kill the bacteria or anything which is harmful. So it will kill that, whatever we have ingested. Any that sort of thing that we have ingested. Digestive juices, they help in the breakdown of protein into simpler substances. So we had studied firstly the digestion of starch. It starts in our buccal cavity because of saliva. Now the digestion of protein, it starts in the stomach because of digestive juices. So two types of substances have started getting digested. Firstly, the starch, whose digestion has started in our mouth, while protein's digestion has started in our stomach. Now moving ahead, do you know how was the working of stomach discovered? So what happened? Once there was a man and he was shot by a bullet. And the bullet hit in his abdominal wall and in the stomach area, which caused a hole in his stomach. So the bullet, it passed through his stomach. So there was a hole in his stomach. So that man, he went to a doctor. So the doctor saved the life of that man, but the doctor, he could not close the hole of that stomach properly. But he used that opportunity to see what is happening inside the stomach. And that is how the working of stomach was discovered. It was basically a stomach with a hole. So in 1822, a man named Alexis Saint Martin was badly hit by a shotgun. The bullet had seriously damaged the chest wall and made a hole in his stomach. He was brought to an American army doctor, William Beaumont. The doctor saved the patient, but he could not close the hole properly and left it bandaged. Beaumont took it as a great opportunity to see inside the stomach through the hole. And he made the following observations. So what were those observations? He found out that stomach was churning the food. So inside the stomach, the food was getting churned. It was moving all around. Then the walls of stomach secreted a fluid which could digest the food. So he found out, okay, there is certain fluid which the walls of the stomach are secreting, and because of that, the food is getting digested. And thirdly, the stomach opens into the intestine only after the digestion of food inside the stomach is complete. So only once the digestion is completed in the stomach, only then the food can enter into the small intestine. So these are the observations that he made through that hole in the stomach. Now let's check your understanding. Fill in the blanks. So first fill up is the digestion of dash starts in stomach. So what the digestion of what starts in stomach? Yes, it's proteins. Esophagus connects dash to dash. So what does esophagus connect? It connects our buccal cavity to the stomach. The stomach releases hydrochloric acid and dash juices which act on the food. So what kind of juices does it release? Yes, digestive juices. Dash present in stomach kills bacteria. So which secretion helps to kill bacteria in our stomach? Yes, it is the hydrochloric acid. Sathya Sai Quote to ponder over. Shri Sathya Sai Baba, he said this, that the space in our stomach needs to be divided into 4 parts. So let's suppose this is our stomach, okay, this is the esophagus, and now the stomach, the space needs to be divided into 4 parts. Now youngsters should fill 3 parts of their stomach with food and remaining 1 part with water. So we all should only fill this much area of our stomach and leave 1/4 for water. So we should not do overeating or fill or stuff our stomach with food. We should leave a little part of our stomach so that the water can take that remaining space. While for adults, 2 parts of the stomach with food and 1 part for water and another part for air. So for adults, they should only fill half of their stomach and remaining part should be filled with water and air. If you fill all 4 parts with food with no place even for water, you are violating the rules for digestion. So next time when you sit for eating your breakfast, lunch or dinner, always remember, don't do overeating and leave some space for water. This is all for today's class. Thank you so much. Om Shri Sai Ram.